But a lot of those Ron Paul supporters are moving over to this next gentleman, Gary Johnson. He's the Libertarian presidential candidate, of course, the former New Mexico governor, of course, now officially the Libertarian candidate for president. Somehow they let Gary in this building. I have no idea why. But then again, they let me inside this building here, and I don't know whether I was the token Italian American anchor, but anyway, Gary Johnson is here. Governor, very good to see you.
Great to see you.
You're the party crasher.
Skunk at the party, huh?
Indeed. Not even that.
Well, the notion that we need to balance the federal budget now and end the wars. I think it's a message that's not being heard, and it's important. I think people really do want to end the wars. I think people really recognize that this spending is not sustainable, and that's balancing the budget immediately.
Now, in a lot of states, you poll very, very well. The argument is you tip Colorado I tip Colorado
to Romney.
Right.
And
in a couple of other states, you tipped to Barack Obama. So I don't know whether that means you're a wash, but you're a pain in the neck.
Well, if both parties end up listening to what's being said here and realize that you can survive politically, at a minimum, this is changing the debate and the discussion.
You have to get in on the debates. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
and where does that stand?
Well, I got to be at 15% in the polls, and I'm not in the polls. So how do you get to 15% if you're not in the polls? But the polls that I am in, it's not too bad. I got invited here to address Paul Fest, which I did, given that opportunity.
Does that security pass work to get inside here? Obviously, right? I mean, if I knew that gave me clearance to get in here as well.
Anyway,
you're here.
I'm here, and the talk went really well. I don't know if I couldn't have been received better. It was terrific.
The Ron Paul supporters, they're good soldiers, but they're not across the board happy campers, and they speak in positive and complimentary terms about the ticket. But even when I had Ron Paul on talking about Paul Ryan, he's not a big fan of the Ryan budget. He says it actually doesn't cut enough. So a lot of
the Ryan budget, balancing the budget in 28 years, and that's incumbent on growth occurring also. So how about if we start to address this in 2013, and that's what I'm promising to do.
You argue that elected president, you would start on this and get the thing balanced by when?
Well, I would submit the balanced budget immediately, whether Congress goes along with that or not. I think we need to elect somebody who's going to take on this debate and this discussion. Right now, there's a debate over, not cutting Medicare, holding Medicare intact. We have to cut Medicare, or we're going to find ourselves in a monetary collapse.
Is your view that you don't like Medicare, or that in its present form it can't survive?
It can't survive. Our spending, I would maintain, is not sustainable. That people recognize that, and very simply, a monetary collapse is when the money that we have in our pocket doesn't buy a thing because of the accompanying inflation that's going to go along with borrowing and printing money to the tune of 43 cents out of every dollar that we're spending.
Are you surprised? And it might change differently, Governor, this year, but third-party candidates are always talked a great deal about. Ross Perot was the last clearly successful one. He could have won the whole thing. It did not imploded at the end. But it's generally tough. George Wallace, made a good argument. John Anderson, but it's tough. It's a tough road, and you've got a tough road ahead of you.
Well, and so offering up what I'm going to argue is not the third choice, but the only choice. And really, an important fact here is that there are only going to be 3 candidates on the ballot in all 50 states, and I'm one of those candidates.
Will you be on all 50 state ballots?
Yeah. Well, the 2 states that we had the biggest issue with, we've overcome. So, although this is a process, and we've got about 10 states to go, we're not expecting believe me, there are problems at every step of the way.
Right.
It's really hard to get on the ballot in all 50 states.
So you wince when people say you're a spoiler.
Well, no, I embrace it because that draws a little bit of attention to what I'm saying. So please call me a spoiler, please.
All right. Well, security's been alerted that you're here.
Right. So let's make.
We hope to have video of the governor being carried away in chains there, but he does raise a lot of eyebrows, and a lot of people are certainly paying attention to what he's been saying, whether you agree or disagree. So, Gary Johnson, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very, very
much.
All
right, you be well.
All right, I will.
And let me know how that.